Fox 40 is my main man, Sean Cunningham, as he pulls up on D-Lo and Casey right now with James Ham. Sean, are you a fantasy football player? I don't think he is. I'm just going to guess. I don't think Sean is a fantasy football guy.
Now, why would you say that?
Because Sean, he comes off like, I don't have time for fantasy football. Like, I don't have time for fake football. I don't.
I am a fantasy football player. I would say my last 2 or 3 years of playing have been among my worst, and I feel more and more removed from the game. But last year, I did okay, I guess. I didn't make a lot of moves, but I also, because of the transition of going from one station where on Sundays, as much as I love football, we didn't really cover much football because, you know, you got to be at the station on Sundays and there's so much to do, to where I'm at now, where all of a sudden you're covering the 49ers every single week. And that kind of brought me back into the fray of football again. So I don't know. I was thinking about this because I got that little reminder that everybody gets right around this time about signing up for fantasy football leagues. And I'm very much on the fence about it because while I did pretty well last year, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I might. So I don't know. Maybe I need a new league.
You guys know, I'll always tell you when I'm good at something. Like, I'm good. I can do this. I'm good. I'm all this other stuff. I can do that because I'll tell you when I'm bad at something. I'm a terrible fantasy football player. Terrible, horrible. And I already know what my flaw is, and it's not going to change. I'm not going to change it, so I'm going to continue to stink probably or wish upon a star. And my flaw is...
You only draft Niners.
Not even that. Not even that. I do have my fair share of Niners on the team. But my flaw is I ain't drafting no Seahawks. I'm not drafting no Rams. I'm not drafting no Packers. I'm not drafting no Cowboys. And this year, I'm probably not drafting no Eagles. So if we're on the draft process and, I don't know, player X for the Seahawks is on the top of the draft board, but player B for the Bengals is like an overall 4 less rating or something like that, I'm taking a guy for the Bengals all day, every day. You won't find me rooting for, hey, Gino, I hope you throw another touchdown pass. Man, please, Gino, stink. That's what I need you to do. So I no, that's where I always fail.
But are you having fun? Because I know a guy who literally, I mean, it's consistently never makes the playoffs, but he loves it. He's on it all the time. He loves it. And in fairness, he's in like 3 leagues, and I think he may have won a couple times, but he's consistently bad, at least in our league. And it's probably one of the most competitive ones. So if you're having fun, sure, go for it.
No,
right?
I'm in 2 leagues. I'm in one with my my soon-to-be wife, her family. They have a big fantasy football. I get in that. It's fun. Once again, I don't ever really win, but it's cool. You know, it's a connection with them. And then I was debating about this. Probably going to have to get in the company one again. Because how's the only sports show here not going to, because Damian sure as hell ain't doing it. So how's the sports show going to not have anybody in the fantasy football league? So I'll probably be in 2 again.
This will be my 34th year, I think, playing fantasy football. So I'll tell you, for those out there, like I get it, Sean, like you start to lose the love of it at a certain point. Like I found that the best thing for me was, I think my son was 14 or 15. I said, hey, you want to share my team with me? So I've been in a league forever. The league is like 31, 32 years old. We've actually, the league is so old, we've actually lost 2 players that have perished.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, it when you have a league that's that long, you know, how many divorces have happened during the league? I mean, like how many kids have been born during the league? But when I brought my son in, and we have the best time, like it has been such a huge bonding thing for us. And we talk so much trash. And, you know, we show up to the draft wearing Mahomes jerseys because we keep Mahomes every year. And we've got championship rings that we wear, that we buy, that we wear. And it's been a big thing. And Sean was there for like my worst defeat in the history.
That was rough.
It was rough. We had a game during the bubble, right? Like, well, not during the bubble, during the season where we had no fans.
Yeah.
And we were up, man, I want to say 90 points in a standard football league going into the Sunday night, Monday night game. And I can't remember who the receiver was on Sunday night, scored 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Damn.
And then Josh Allen came back the next day and beat us, and we lost by 3 points in the Super Bowl. And I remember Sean saying, "Oh man, you got this! Like you're up 90 points." I'm like,
I do that all the time.
Damn it, Sean.
I thought he was going to go out there and beat the hell out of one of those cardboard fans.
The cardboard fans just take it out, just start throwing
Just
them around,
beat up.
ripping their heads off.
Just go beat up Kyle Draper's cutout for no reason.
Well, he had a reason.
Amazing.
Oh man, Sean, but we can talk everything with Sean Cunningham because, like I said, he's everywhere. You ain't never there. Let's stay with a little football. And, we've been talking a lot about the 49ers and the quarterback situation, Brock Purdy, the QB2, Trey Lance or Sam Darnold, all this other stuff. We'll stay with Brock and the guy that is QB1. Do you feel the same way Kyle Shanahan does, where he said, like, you never hear Kyle Shanahan say this. He was like, nah, Brock's the real deal. Do you think in the 8 games that you saw from Brock Purdy, you kind of feel the same way about him?
I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, because obviously he's put tremendous consistency on paper, regardless of where he was selected, and coming in and filling in admirably. And it's fun to read about. Jimmy Garoppolo today in Vegas as a member of the Raiders say that, shoot, after having that surgery, he would have been able to play had they advanced to the Super Bowl, and that was going to be the plan, that he would be able to step in and play in the Super Bowl with a week off had they actually advanced to the Super Bowl. And I feel like that kid in that meme that you see on TikTok or Instagram after something where he just goes, well, BS, because I don't know that I'm not so sure that Kyle Shanahan would have afforded him that opportunity.
That's
obviously, yeah, you've got some certainly a week to maybe figure that out. And look, I think Brock Purdy has earned the right, given the injury he's faced and coming back from it, and everything is on the up and up. But I will say, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, here's where I deviate from that path. Is I look at it as having a true quarterback competition in camp. And as he says, nothing is etched in stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm more in the Trey Lance category, because I feel you've risked so much and you need to know. And coming in having a full quarterback competition, coming in knowing, look, you're going to know him better than anybody. And I don't think you really need to have the competition in preseason games to figure it out. But put him on the ultimate short leash, and then you go to your GM and say, okay, look, he may have won the opportunity last year. We still don't have enough to where we know about what Trey Lance looks like as a football player. And maybe that's fine. Look, if it's their jobs are on the line, they absolutely have a roster that can compete for a Super Bowl if everything goes right. But the quarterback is such a big part of that. And you know what? Having 4 quarterbacks might be the recipe, because I was in Philadelphia on the field shooting most of that game in the NFC Championship when they lost their quarterbacks. And I'd never seen anything like it. Like, it was literally, you watch a guy go out there and they can't throw. Everyone has to run the ball, and you're just watching the agony on someone like George Kittle's face, where it's, what are we trying to do? And then you've got Christian McCaffrey doing anything and everything just to make something happen when you're already down 30. I mean, it's just a joke. So to see your season end that way, and to know the legacy that you have of quarterbacks over the past really better part of a decade, where quarterback has been the big question mark and health has been the question mark, and you've got all this talent, and this is literally the what or get off the pot year, because of all the money that's going to be invested into some of these big players. So I understand why Brock Purdy is your number one guy. I don't know that I would go that path, because I still feel like there's you've invested so much, and I don't think Trey Lance is a bad quarterback per se, because I certainly don't know. But I trust their gut, I trust their feeling, and if you're Trey Lance and you're hearing Kyle Shanahan come in and say, Sam Darnold could be Steve Young, or reminds me of Steve Young, it's like, well, great, I'm third now, because no one gets the Steve Young category label as a Hall of Famer, and then all of a sudden you're going to compete for number 2 when Darnold ends up 3. No, you're going to be 3 going into that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I think it's all over the board. Sean over there, like, go ahead and put me in. I'm ready. I'm ready to be your fifth string quarterback. I'll put the camera down for a few minutes.
I would have
Yeah.
taken that
Yeah,
because
just
that was just nasty. I might have took Sean ahead of Josh Johnson. I might have taken.
That was rough, bro.
Brock is out. Get in there, Sean. No, you hold on, Josh. Brock, Sean's got this.
When you have a Sacramento Mountain Lion at quarterback in the NFC Championship, don't like your chances.
no. Man, he was a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, bro.
man. I mean,
Yeah.
at least he wasn't like a Sacramento Surge.
Oof.
Have been like
Goldberg.
going way back.
He'd be 50 years old.
That's right. Sean, we're gonna have this this discussion later this week on the podcast, I'm sure. But and we'll spend an absorbent amount of time on Nerlens Noel once again because that's what we like to do. But Neemias Queta back in Sacramento. It looks like we haven't really brought this up on the show yet, but looks like it's a 2-year deal. Second year is non-guaranteed. I'm hearing it might be around 250,000 guaranteed, coming in. But how do you like this 4-headed backup center position, and like, who do you think is going to come out on top here?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Neemias Queta, I'm looking at this going, perfect. This is everything I've wanted. Give me an opportunity to step into training camp and earn a position and earn that. I've got to beat out Nerlens Noel. I like my chances. Granted, he's a veteran in the league and he's kind of been through the gauntlet of injuries and disappointments, and but he's also, been on a lot of NBA rosters, and he's got that advantage, if you will, over somebody like Queta. But if I'm Queta, I'm like, hey, no, this is my moment. This is where I need to show that I'm worthy of an NBA roster slot. They're investing in me in terms of a standard contract that is, partially guaranteed, as you kind of laid out. But this is all you can ask for if you're him. And if it doesn't work, hopefully you put enough together to where maybe another team will want you. But I think that the Kings did the right move here. I think this is something where, look, Alex Len, we've talked about him on our podcast, James, for over a few years now. And I've always wanted them to be probably better in that category. I think that he's, shown some flashes, and good for him for always being that professional and that vet for staying ready. But fact is, they need to be better. And I think when you group Alex Len and Nerlens Noel in that group, well, hey, Queta, you're the young guy. Go in there and make it fly. And you're coming off a year where you made vast strides in the G League and made an all G League team and was in the G League All-Star game, and you were worthy of all those things. Now it's time to show that you can have a spark or two at the NBA level. And I think this is great for him. And if you ask me who I like in that situation, he's got the continuity. I know Alex Len has the continuity, with guys too, but Nerlens Noel doesn't have that. He has the familiarity with so much of the roster already intact. He's a big body who's capable of running the floor and setting up teammates. So I'd probably bet on I'd probably bet on Neemias Queta because Nerlens Noel doesn't really have those moments throughout his career.
I sound like James Ham talking about Davion Mitchell, but I know people don't think I like Neemias Queta. I do. I do like Neemias Queta. I root for Neemias Queta. I don't necessarily believe in Neemias Queta based on what I've seen, in Summer League and when he played in the NBA, but I also realize that's a small sample size. And I like that the Kings are doing this. They're giving him everything he needs to be successful. They've invested a lot in his career early on and trying to build him. And this is what you see good franchises do. The Spurs, I was talking about the Spurs. They build their guys. They help foster an environment where they can grow as ball players. And that seems to be what the Kings are doing with Neemias Queta. And I'm okay with that. I'm probably even more okay with that than some partial guarantee or just a camp invite. Because now, there's nothing for him necessarily to worry about outside of be better than Nerlens Noel in camp and do it from day one. So I'm okay with that, and I want to see him succeed. I want to see him take that job. But like I've been saying, there's no time to waste. I think they're betting on the fact that he's going to have that type of approach where I need to come in and show that this was the right decision immediately. and they believe that he's that type of individual. But there's no time to waste, man. I need to see him come out from day one of training camp ready to make it clear I'm better than Nerlens Noel, and I'm probably better than Alex Len. He needs to have that type of urgency.
Can I ask another way, just to piggyback off that? Like, we talk about continuity and familiarity, right? Mike Brown's got to be able to trust a guy. And I know you got a guy coming from the G League, and you're not going to have a ton of faith, but at least he knows. He's seen what 2 summer leagues with Neemias Queta looks like. He knows what G League looks like. He knows what he looks like with his teammates. If you're a head coach like Mike Brown and you're asked to have confidence in someone like Nerlens Noel, who hasn't really shined at any moment really in his career, he's had a lot of setbacks. It's hard to have a trust in that because the idea of Nerlens Noel is fantastic, but the actuality of what he is there is tougher, right? So I don't know that it really. I mean, Mike Brown is going to play a huge role here, and if you try to put yourself in his shoes and what he's going to be looking for, like Nerlens Noel is known to be a rim protector, or the idea of him is known to be a rim protector, but can he do that consistently enough without hurting the offense or disrupting flow? And honestly, we're talking about a player here, and all 3 of them, that may not play really at all, but need to be capable of stepping in the event of injury or whatever. So, I think it all falls on Mike Brown's shoulders and what he's able to trust. You disagree with that, James?
No, I'm with you. And we discussed this earlier with Sam Darnold versus Trey Lance. Like the deal with Trey Lance is that he's got 8 games of NFL experience, but only 4 starts. And then you can say the same thing about Queta. Queta doesn't have the experience, but what Nerlens Noel does have the experience, but you know who he is. And the same thing with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's just not very good. I mean, like, he's had opportunities, he's had some success, but realistically, he's not very good. And I think we can kind of put the idea of Nerlens Noel, like the box score, the per 36 minute, the Nerlens Noel is great, but he just hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been able to cement himself in the league. He's on his 7th team in like 9 seasons. So yeah, there's a lot to him that just doesn't make any sense because he hasn't proven that he can do it. Now, again, Queta hasn't either. But I like what the Kings have done here, where they invested in him twice in G League and 2-way contracts in Neemias. Then they get to a point where they can't do that. I mean, they could have asked him to do it again, but I don't think he wanted to be a 2-way again. But they're making him earn it. They're saying, like, look, we got a 2-year deal here. If you work this thing out, you got 2 years in the league, and hopefully you can grow from there, and we will still have like restricted free agent rights and stuff like that. But you got to show us that you can do it. And if he can't, they have all these other players that are ready to do it. But the first step is we put competition out there. Go show us you can beat up Nerlens Noel in camp. Go show us that you can do that. And if you can, we'll keep you. And if you can't, we got to do what's right for us. And, the Kings have done this with Chimezie Metu, and it worked out. They did it with Damian Jones, and it worked out. They gave him these 2-year deals that are mostly non-guaranteed, and it's worked out in the past. So I think this is a low risk, high reward play for them. Worst case scenario, he could be your 4th center. You could send him down to the G League a whole bunch during the season. You can still do that. But I think you've invested in him. And the other thing is, you're showing players in your system that there is a possibility for you to make the main club. That there is a way for you to fight your way. So Keon Ellis or Jalen Slauson or whoever it might be, all those other kids that are down there, there is a pathway here for you to get to the big club if you do the right things and if you show up and you play and you improve and you do what we're asking.
You mentioned the name right there. Can I see him at least play like Damian Jones? I like Damian Jones' time here with the Kings. Obviously, they weren't a winning team, but I like the way he played when he was there. Can Neemias Queta at least give me Damian Jones productivity?
Damian Jones is who Nerlens Noel thinks he is.
Oh, wow.
I mean, give me Damian Jones. Like, if you would have brought Damian Jones in and said, okay, Neemias Queta, you got to compete with Damian Jones. I've been like,
I don't know if we're gonna win that battle.
sorry, man, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you want the rim runner, you want the guy who like plays defense and goes up and hammers the ball down when you need him to. It's really just Damian. He stays healthy. He goes out. He's a good kid. He's fighting the good fight. Super smart. Super smart. I think he has a master's in some crazy type of engineering. Like he's a bright dude. So yeah, but that's not what we're talking. We're talking about a flyer on Nerlens Noel and a flyer on Neemias Queta, and like whoever wins it.
First you get your masters, then you get your masters. Sean knows that song.
I know what you mean.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think this whole competition, if you will, is going to be healthy. I think it's going to be good for really Neemias Queta. And again, he has to look at the not only the competition and the opportunity. He has to look at this as a huge step in his journey, because it's bigger than the Kings. It could turn into potentially something else. You know, like you mentioned, James, is a business. They're going to do what's right for them always. And he could go out there and he could beat out Nerlens Noel. He could earn a roster spot and find himself, you know, out of a job later on in the season. Because it all has to. These are those new contracts. These are those NFL contracts. You know, yes, you have some guaranteed money, but you need to go out and earn it. And I'm interested to see what it is, because honestly, he has a lot of room to still grow, and there's some things to like, but there's a lot of mechanical things that still are part of his game. And I think he's done everything that has been asked of him. It's just now, is he an NBA player or not? And this is that next hurdle.
And I want to throw, like, in a perfect world, like what would happen here is that somehow Queta beats out Nerlens Noel, but they're able to buy one more development year with Alex Len and Queta there, where, you know, if they put Queta in, they give him some shot, and he's close, but he's not quite there yet, and you're a good team, but then you keep feeding him little minutes here and there when you can, and you have Alex Len there in case of an emergency. That's like the best possible situation here, where you're giving a kid one more year to figure it out. And if he doesn't, it's okay. But what he did in the G League last year is nuts. Yeah. What I want to see from him, and I'm sure Sean feels the same way, we need that fourth quarter when you dominated, that fourth quarter when he was so good at Summer League, and you was like, what in the world is happening? He slings a pass to the corner from like 40 yards away and hits a guy for a wide open three, like everything. All they're doing is raving about him on the broadcast. He needs to be that player from the moment he steps on the floor. There is no getting comfortable. There is no waiting around. You step on the floor and you be that player, or you're probably going to be looking for another job in a couple of weeks. Yeah. That's the way it goes.
For sure. Fox40's Sean Cunningham rocking with us today. Sean, you were out on the golf course with Malik Monk, Keegan Murray the other day. I first want to say, I mean, just everything he does. That's my guy, Malik Monk. That's my guy. But I definitely want to golf with Malik Monk. I definitely want to golf with Malik. He seemed like that's my type of golf partner. I don't need anybody that's overly good, because then I'll be like, damn, I'm sorry. Like, I ain't no good. I need somebody that's going to, what they say, cut up the grass or whatever, like the chop up the dirt or something like that. I need somebody like that to play golf with, like Malik Monk. Look like he was. I don't know what he ultimately ended up doing, but the little clips that I saw, he looks like he's just as good as I am at golf, and I'm not very good. But that's who I need to be playing with. We'd have a good time out there on the golf course.
That's exactly the thing that stood out to me. I was like, okay, we can play. Keegan, you're far too good. Far too good. Get him in the fairway a little bit. He has some moments, but yeah, I looked at Malik's game. I said, okay, now, you know, I look at a lot of these courses I am, you know, lucky enough to be able to go and get to play at. And I'm like, man, I usually get kicked out of places like this because of the way I'm hacking up a course, or, you know, but yeah, Kenny, you, me, Malik, and we'll find one other bad. James probably, his back probably won't allow him to play golf these days. So
I can drive and I can drink. So I can, like on the golf course, on the golf course. Yeah, absolutely. I can handle that. So someone can ride with me.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun, man. Like, to see those guys like in a different light, see Malik in a different light, and everyone sees how joyful and infectious that personality is, and to see on the court and to see him bring that to a golf setting was just really, really, really fun. Like, he's a fun dude to be around, and I think it was a really awesome pairing with the two of them to do something off the court together and build a little chemistry. And I know that there's not a lot of guys on the team that play golf, but they've got a group, man. Like that, Kevin Herter is just as much a part of that. And to see Keegan come right out of Team USA basketball camp in Vegas and with the select team and step onto the course and do it for a really good cause with Midtown Church and some of the stuff they're trying to do for educational opportunities is a lot of fun. And yeah, man, it was to see those guys, like, Malik's playing the part, man. He gets up there, hits a drive, stares at it. If he duffs a shot and hits more ground than he does ball, he's staring at the ground, looking at what happened. Like that couldn't have just happened. Then he's got his rangefinder, and so I will say this: he always had the distance down, but he's like me. He was good for a one every now and then, and then I think you get through enough holes, and it's like, all right, time to. We know what this is. It's now time to find the cart, the beverage cart, and make it a true day. But I'll tell you, man, we're blessed with some great weather right now because I think it's absolutely awesome. Yet that day was an absolute scorcher. It was so hot. So,
it was hot,
and I like hot weather. As people know, listen to the podcast. But once you get over 100, I start complaining. So I loved it. It was fantastic.
Hey, fellas. I know it's not time yet, and there will be time or whatever the case may be. Come on, man. Malik Monk got to stay here for X amount of years.
Oh, that's
Malik's my guy. He got to be like Bobby Jackson, like how they got Bobby, and he was here for 4 or 5 years. Malik, you know how I am. You guys know how I get. Malik might just finish his whole career here. Just don't ever leave. I'll be upset the day Malik Monk is gone. I don't care how old he is.
They've got an opportunity to keep him. I'm not concerned with that. A lot of people are concerned, especially with the Sabonis extension and stuff. But they have like early bird rights to him. They can pay him up to like $17 million a year to start. Like he can get a really nice contract here if that's what the team decides to do and what he decides to do, and if he wants to stay here. I'm going to guess his ties to De'Aaron Fox makes him stay. But Sean, I want to ask you, did you guys get to talk to Keegan at all about his experience at Team USA? And I'm sure he gave you like a riveting comment. It's probably just spectacular television, but like, what did Keegan have to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, he's appreciative of the opportunity and to be around those guys, and I think it bodes well for him, knowing that FIBA is this year, Olympics is next year, and to get his foot into that selection pool to be able to elevate possibly in the future. As long as he shows, I think he realizes that as long as he shows the commitment to wanting to do it, that oftentimes if the play is what it is, it'll be rewarded. So with him, I mean, from the international game. He fits. He checks a big box for them. I mean, the perimeter shooting at that size, being able to put to be able to handle the ball a little bit. I mean, there's not a lot of ISO or one-on-one stuff. He's. I know people really reacted to a clip of him showing how quickly he can get the ball off. He talked a lot about that, and I think. Just as how much he's built himself up. I mean, I think we were talking about 8 pounds in just a couple of months of muscle. He looks even more toned for sure than what we saw him at Summer League, and it's not that long ago. He's on the right path. He's definitely adding to his body. He looks like a more. It's almost like watching like in a weird way, like Steph Curry when he came into the league, and to see where Steph Curry is. Maybe not 3 years later, because I think with Steph, because of injuries, it took a little bit of time. But you get to that moment where you're looking at Steph and you're just like, my goodness, you don't look anything like you did when you came into the league. His upper body is so much. It's more toned. It's more. He looks like a professional athlete as opposed to that kid that just kind of had these long arms and big shoulders and didn't have a lot of definition in there. So I know that's what a lot of the team has wanted him to focus on. And in terms of him making that international play, I mean, he's looking around about a bunch of guys that are in his range. I mean, certainly if the Olympic team is what it is next year, that if Kevin Durant wants to play, he's going to make that. He'll probably make that team. If Draymond Green wants to play, they'll make that team, I would imagine. But setting himself up to where he can be part of the international squad in years to come, I think is what it was all about, so long as he wants to do it. And he says he does.
Sean, when people like jump off the deep end, jump out the window, and some people accuse me of doing that sometime with predictions and the teams that I root for and all this other stuff. Sean is usually the one, like, he's immersed in reality. Like, yeah, all right, just relax. Like, this is what's probably going to happen, whatever the case may be. I know you've heard a lot of chatter about Keegan Murray this summer and what he could be and what the jump could be. Are you in the same boat as a lot of other people who are like, oh, he can make a crazy jump in the second season? Or do you just think it's going to be a modest, like 1 or 2 point per game type jump, and he'll get better, kind of along the way, as opposed to this huge jump from rookie season to second season?
To me, that's still a hard one to answer. I felt that if they had lost Harrison Barnes, that with the addition of Sasha and having Keegan already good enough to step into that type of role, be it as a starter or reserve, and obviously he was a starter for damn near the whole season last year, shows the confidence that they already have in him, and the trajectory that they're talking about, and you hear people rave about him even within those walls. It makes you believe based on people you trust and their read of talent. But my only thing is, I think from the offensive side of things, I would like to see, how he's able to put the ball on the floor and in the NBA game get past an opponent. I don't think, seeing that in summer league, I'm one of the people that just doesn't react to anything you see in summer league because it's such haphazard basketball. The talent level is not what the NBA is. And frankly, he didn't need summer league. But I will say it went about as good as it could have gone because everyone is just through the roof in talking about what he can be and what his future looks like. And obviously his temperament is what it is. He's the ultimate team guy. I think there's a want for him to possibly be a little more selfish and show that he can be a guy who can, shoot over people, use his size, shoot over people, take people off the dribble. And if he can do that, yeah, buckle up. It could be a really fun ride for him as a Sacramento King. But I don't know that to me, I don't think it matters like what the huge step forward he takes. But I think when you play with someone like Domantas Sabonis, he's going to find you, especially when you can shoot the way you can. And even if he doesn't develop into right away into that guy who can, take a guy off the dribble and get into the lane, get to the free throw line and do some of those things that they'd maybe like to see down the road, even if it doesn't happen in this next year, as long as it's still kind of trending that way, or if he can have he can duplicate what he did last year. I think his rookie year was so valuable. And if he can even just do what he did last year, it will equate to winning. It'll help his development, and that you can look at it and say, okay, great. What's the step forward in year 3 and 4? So, you don't go to year 2 and all of a sudden look like you're an all-star, but so I think I'm a little more cautious there, but there's a lot to like. And I think putting him around different work ethics, people he works with, not only in the off season, but having that connection to USA Basketball can go a long way, because there's a lot of people within that system that can really help development. And you saw it with people like DeMarcus Cousins. You saw it with people like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond Green. So I think USA Basketball is an invaluable resource for a young budding player.
Wow. See, I got an opportunity to be on the Kings beat just now. You know what I'm saying? I feel good. I feel good, man. I got an opportunity that, I feel like I'm doing things out here. I get to be on the Kings beat, man. Sean, I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you carving out some time to come rap with us for a little bit, man.
No problem. I'm actually, for the next 2-3 days, I'm doing something I absolutely despise. I'm going camping, but it's a camping trip I will never miss because of the fun that is had in that camping trip. And I'm going to be out of cell service for 2 days. So
are you camping or are you glamping? Ain't that what they call it?
I call hotels camping. So technically this will be glamping, because one of our buddies does have an RV. I have historically slept in my car because I can just make that work. and I will not be in a tent in my life ever again. I'm just not doing that.
Do you have a candle lit right now? Do you have a lit candle lit?
Come on, man. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Always
boy.
have the can. Oh, the wax got it, and I just doused
Boy,
it.
he's trying to be on his Drake, boy. He be setting the
Yeah,
mood
man.
everywhere. That's what I'm talking about, man. Appreciate you, Sean. Enjoy your glamping. And
Yes, man.
we'll
Yes, sir.
see you when you get back in town, man. Appreciate you, bro.
See you, buddy.
Anytime, guys.